Concept of cyclicity is used to find out the last digit of any number raised to any power. For example, if I have a number ABC and I raise it to the power XYZ, I expand it and I find out the number and I only have to look at the last digit of this number. So the concept of cyclicity helps me finding out the last digit or the unit digit of a number raised to any power. In order to do so, I would only look at the unit digit. So I will only look at C here. I will not look at the rest part of the number. The unit digit will only depend upon the unit digit. It will not depend upon the tens place or the hundreds place digit. Now for example, if I have to find the unit digit of this number, I will only look at the unit digit. That means I will only look at the numbers 7 and 6. The rest part of the number, this, would be immaterial to me. The final last unit digit would be given by multiplication of the unit digit 7 and 6 to give you what? 42. I will only keep the unit digit which is 2. I will not look at the tens place or hundreds place digit. So before we move on in how to find out the last digit, we'll look at the cyclicity of certain units digit. So let's start with the case of 2. If I look at 2, 2 raised to power 1 ends up in 2. 2 square, last digit is 4. 2 cube, it is 8. 2 raised to power 4, it ends up in 6. I'm not talking about 16 because I'm only taking the unit place value. 2 raised to power 5, 32. 2 raised to power 6, 64. So I'll keep 4. 2 raised to power 7, 128. I'll keep 8. 2 raised to power 8, 256. I'll keep only 6. 2 raised to power 9, 512. Keep 2. 2 raised to power 10, the value is 1024. I'll keep only the last digit which is 4. Now once I do all of these things, I will observe that 2486, 2486. So what is happening? This thing is getting repeated. So I have a cyclicity of 4. Unit digit cyclicity has a cyclicity of 4 if I talk about the last digit to be 2. Let's look at the case of 3 now. If I'm looking at the cyclicity of 3, I'll follow the same thing. 3 raised to power 1 ends up in 3. 3 square, 9. 3 cube, 27. I'll keep 7. 3 raised to power 4, 81. I'll keep 1. 3 raised to power 5. So I will only keep the unit digit and I will not keep the rest of the digits. So if I keep on writing the unit digit, I will observe that they again have a cyclicity of 4. So the unit digit of a number ending with 3 raised to any power are repeating in a pattern 3971, 3971 and so on. So I will again say unit digit 3 has a cyclicity of 4. That means the repetition cycle is 4. Let's look at the case of 4 and 5. Now if I talk about 4, 4 raised to power 1, 4. 4 square ends up in 6, 16. 4 cube, 64 ends up in again 4. 4 raised to power 4 ends up in again 6. 4 raised to power 5, 4. I'm talking only about the last digit. So if you look at it, it is 4, 6, 4, 6, 4, 6 and so on. That means this digit of 4 has a cyclicity of 2. So either the last digit for a number ending with 4 raised to power anything will either end up in 4 or 6. That will depend upon the power. If the power is odd, it will always end up with the last digit as 4. If the power is even, 4 raised to power anything which is even, the last digit would always be 6. So it has a cyclicity of 2. That means either the last digit would be 4 or 6. 4 will be the last digit when the power is odd and 6 will be the last digit when the power is even. Let's look at the case of 5. 5 raised to power 1 ends up in 5. 5 square, 25. 5 cube, 125. 5 4, 625. So 5 raised to power anything ends up with the last digit as 5. Very, very important. So I would say unit digit of 5 has a cyclicity of 1. That means it is the same unit digit which is repeating itself. So if a number ends with, if a number ends with 5, raised to power anything would always end up with the last digit as 5. 5 raised to power anything would always end up in the last digit as 5. Let's move ahead and look at the case of 6 and 7. 6, if I talk about 6 raised to power 1, 6, 6 square, 36. 6 cube again ends up in 6. 6 raised to power 4 ends up in 6. 6 raised to power 5 ends up in 6. So again we can say that unit digit 6 has a cyclicity of 1. That means again 6 raised to power anything. If the unit digit is 6 and the power is anything, it will end up with 6 always, all the time. My last digit would be 6. Similar to the case of 5. Let's look at the case of 7 now. 7 raised to power 1 ends up in 7. 7 square 49 ends up in 9. 7 cube 343 ends up in 3. 7 raised to power 4 2401 ends up with 1. 7 raised to power 5 ends up with 7. 7 raised to power 6, if I look at it, ends up in 9. The powers have been written wrongly. Yeah. 7 raised to power 6 ends up with 9. 7 raised to power 7 ends up with 3. And 7 raised to power 8 would end up with 1. So if I look at the case of 7, I would observe that there is a cycle size of 4 which is there. 7, 9, 3, 1, 7, 9, 3 and 1. So unit digit 7 has a cyclicity of 4. It has a cycle size of 4. Let's move ahead and let's look at the cyclicity of 8 and 9. 8, if I look at it, 8 raised to power 1, 8, 8 square 64. 8 raised to power 3 will end up with 2. 8 raised to power 4 ends up with 6. 5 again ends up with 8. 6 ends up with 4, 7 ends up with 2 and 8 ends up with 6 again. So if you look at this case, 8 again has a cyclicity of 4. Unit digit 8 has a cyclicity of 4. Let's look at the case of 9. 9 raised to power 1 ends up in 9. 9 squared 81. 9 cube 729. 9 raised to power 4 again ends up in 1. 9 raised to power 5 ends up in 9. So if you look at it, it has a unit digit cyclicity of 2. 9 and 1. 9 and 1. So 9 raised to an odd power that I am talking about would end up always with 9. 9 raised to an even power would end up in 1. So this is similar to the case of 4 because the cyclicity was also 2 in case of 4. So let's move ahead and let's look at the cyclicity combined for all the numbers. So if the last digit is 0, 1, 5 or 6, for all of these unit digit, the cyclicity is 1. So that means if the last digit of any number is 0, 1, 5 or 6, raised to power anything would always end up in the same unit digit. So if a number ends with 5, it will always end with 5. If a number ends with 6, raised to any power, it will always end up in 6. The unit digit 2, 3, 7 and 8 have a cyclicity of 4. As we have already discussed, 2, 3, 7, 8 have a cyclicity of 4. The unit digit 4 and 9 have a cyclicity of 2. So I have categorized this 4 raised to power even and odd because the cyclicity is 2. Again 9 raised to power even and odd because the cyclicity for this is 2. So this is how we find out the cyclicity for all the units place. Now it is not necessary for you to actually find out the cyclicity when the question comes into exam. So what you need to know is you need to just concentrate here and just look at this table and remember it. So this is a very, very important table that we have that we need to remember when we are doing questions related to cyclicity. Once we have understood this concept of cyclicity, let's look at how to solve the question. So what are the steps that you need to take to find out the unit digit? The steps would be as follows. First step, identify the unit digit of a given number. So a number is given to you. I will not look at the entire number. I will only look at the unit digit of those numbers. I will not look at the tens place or the hundreds place or the thousand place digit. Second step would be finding out the cyclicity of that unit digit. Since we have already done numbers like 2, 3, 7 and 8 have a cyclicity of 4. Digits like 4 and 9 have a cyclicity of 2. And digits like 0, 1, 5 and 6 have a cyclicity of 1. So I will look at the cyclicity of that unit digits. So let's look at the question that we have. The question is, find the unit digit of this number 5672 raised to power 2345. I will first identify the unit digit. What is the unit digit that I have? I will not look at the rest part of the number. I will identify 2. Then step 2, I will look at the cyclicity of this unit digit. So cyclicity of 2 is 4. That is what I've understood. The cyclicity of 2 is 4. That is what I need to remember from the cyclicity table. The third step would be divide the power of the given number with its cyclicity to find out the remainder. So what is the power that I have? 2, 3, 4, 5. I will divide that power with cyclicity. What is the cyclicity of 2? It is 4. Divide the power with 4 to find out the remainder. So instead of dividing 2, 3, 4, 5 with 4 to find out the remainder, I would apply the divisibility rules. You have already learned the divisibility rules. The divisibility rule for 4 is looking at the last 2 digits only. So I will look at the last 2 digits, which are 45 in this case, and apply the divisibility rule instead of the entire number. So this 2, 3 also is immaterial to me. I would look at 4, 5. 45 when divided by 4 gives a remainder of 1. So this entire number would also give a remainder of 1. So I found out the remainder. The remainder when 45 is divided by 4 comes out to be 1. The last step would give me my answer. The last step is the final unit digit would be whatever is your given unit digit raised to power remainder. So whatever is the remainder that you have got, the remainder that I have got here is 1. So my answer would be 2 raised to power 1, which will be 2. So the unit digit that I'll get for 5672 raised to power 2345 would be 2. So these are the 4 steps that we need to follow in order to find out the unit digit of any number. A word of caution is, if the remainder comes out to be 0 on division with 4, that does not mean my answer would be 2 raised to power 0 and 1. You would have easily seen that when we have done the cyclicity for 2, the number ends with either 2, 4, 8 or 6. It does not end with 1 anytime. So a remainder of 0 is actually equal to a remainder of 4. When you get a remainder of 4 on division with 4, you call it as a remainder of 0. So my answer in that case would be the answer for 2 raised to power 4, which will be 6. And not 2 raised to power 0, which will be 1. So the only thing that you have to take care is, when you are getting a remainder of 0, that does not mean it will be 2 raised to power 0. It will be 2 raised to power 4 if you are dividing it with 4. If you are dividing it with 2, it will be 2 raised to power, if you are dividing it with 2, which is the case of 4 and 9, it will be that unit digit raised to power 2. We hope you have enjoyed this video. Please like our video and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. You can visit our website edusathi.com to practice more questions on this topic and access other useful information. Like us and follow us on Facebook and Twitter to get exam-related information and other such updates. We wish you all the best for your preparations. Thank you and have a good day.